Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole flock of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh. Not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Nahaya, not Allah, not Abba. It's Yahweh. And his only God's son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah, not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So you got to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rikah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the bishop and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all Israel, ready accepted or not. In a sense, it's salutation to all the arguing, pushing this truth and believing this truth with the full ears of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the art walkers who are listening learning, you few sisters who are listening learning. Coming at you in the lesson, the truth, facts, faith, and edification. Now the daily edification, Lord willing, is be edifying. So I titled this lesson, Isaac never told Esau that he would die by the sword, which is his blessing. Isaac never told Esau that the same sword that he shall live by, he would die by that same sword. And I was just meditating on this few precepts because the scripture talks about them being destroyed by their own weapons. And when you read in Isaiah 54:16, the Lord said he created the smith that blow up the coals in the fire, that created an instrument for his works, and he created a waster to destroy. Well, who created the waster? It was the Edomites, so-called white man. Okay, Babylon the Great, North America took these German scientists, right? They took some of these German scientists and they created the atom bomb, right? That's when you get Fat Man and Little Boy that the so-called white man dropped on those Japanese cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So-called white man did that. So the Lord had them to create these weapons of mass destruction. First, it was the atom bomb, and then they split the atom. Now they have these ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and these are the weapons that the Lord had the so-called white man to create to destroy himself with. So, Lord willing, let's be edifying. Now, in the book of Genesis, verse 27, we'll start at verse 38. It reads, And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing? My father, bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And this is the Lord plainly saying they're going to have the best. They're going to have the best of everything because this is their kingdom. This is their time to rule. That's why I tell you in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And as his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion, thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck, which they did. You at the time of Solomon, when their yoke was broken, when the Lord said he raised up an enemy against Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. They broke their yoke. So, and then their yoke was broken again. You got when they came into power with the Greeks, right? They took over Egypt, the Romans, right? That yoke was broken. And Esau is still bearing rule over the earth by the sword. So let's get this. Now the Lord say You know, the scripture talks about in Obadiah 1 and 7 that they don't have no understanding, right? In Obadiah 1 and 7, it say there is no understanding in them. When you read in Daniel's chapter 12, verse 10, it said the same thing, that the wicked would not understand, right? And there's another verse, I'm trying to think it talks about them not having understanding. I forgot what verse it is. Right off, I forgot what verse that is. It's also another verse that says they don't have no understanding of the will of the Lord and what's playing out in the earth. So, oh, call out Yahbashim Shah. I think that's Psalms 82. I think that's what it is. Let's see. It's Psalms 82 and 5. I think that's what it is. Yep. Call out Yahbashim Shah. So, there's three precepts, Obadiah 1 and 7, right? That said they don't have no understanding. Daniel's 12 and 10, and this one, right? It say, let's read verse 4 first. This is Psalm 82 and 4. Deliver the poor and needy, which are the Israelites, so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. It reads, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. It said, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. Who took us captive? The so-called white man. It said, they know not, neither would they understand. See, they walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. So let's get the other two. So you got Obadiah. Hey, what does scripture say in Job 33? The Lord speaketh once, yet twice, but man perceive it not. Well, here's a three precepts to show you that the so-called white man don't have no understanding why they are wicked. The Lord said He made them to be that way, man. Okay, out of Jacob, it's out of the same lump came two different vessels, man. Okay, out of Isaac's sperm, that one lump came two vessels, Esau and Jacob, one for righteousness, one to be wicked. Obadiah 1 and 7 reads, all the men of that confederacy have brought thee even to the border, which is the allies that's joined to America. And it's 193 nations that's joined to America through the UN. They all going to separate and join Russia and China. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread, which is the petrodollar. That's why everybody trying to get around the petrodollar. It say, they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. See, there is no understanding in the wicked. So let's get this one. Daniel 12 and 10. Hey, because Isaac blessed Esau to live by the sword, but he never told him, listen, son, in the end, you're going to die by that same sword. He never told him that, man. He just told him he's going to live by the sword. Well, we're going to show you, thus saith the Lord, these devils, the so-called white man, they're going to die by that same sword, man, that they've been living by so diligently, man. In 243 years, they've been in, this power they've been having, 220 of them been in war, man. This is Daniel 12 and 10. Many shall be purified, meaning to be made righteous, to be made holy. Holy means separated. Sanctified, meaning to be set apart from the heathens. From 2/3, the righteous will be purified, meaning to be made righteous. Many shall be purified and made white and tried. Tried being put through the furnace of affliction, right? The adversities, the trials and tribulations. But the wicked shall do wickedly. And we see the so-called white man, his nation, is being wicked. 2/3 of our people is waxing worse than the wicked is. It say, many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly. And that's why the scriptures say he shall be manifest in his time, man. Now we know who the Edomites is, because everything they do is wickedness in the earth. It reads, and none of the wicked, and none of the wicked. It's talking about Esau eating the so-called white man, and the other 16 heathen nations, and 2/3 of Jake, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. Who's the wise? It's the hopeful elect, man. So that's three precepts to show you that the so-called white man don't have no understanding of the will of Yahweh Shema Shah. The Lord gave, when you're reading in 1 Corinthians 1, verse 19 and 20, the Lord gave them the wisdom of this world. This is their kingdom. This is their rulership. So the wisdom that Jake is trying to get in this life is from the so-called white man, right? You're trying to be a pastor, well, you got to go through there, still out the seminaries, okay? And get that, and you got to sign that 501c3 contract if you want to get established with a church. Because Christianity is just a big business, man. Okay? It's a billion-dollar business. So everything about this life, you got to get it from the so-called white man. That's why the Lord said he made the wisdom of this world foolishness. But the wise shall understand. Understand what? What the will of the Lord is, which is to feed the sheep, which is to watch the Lord play out judgments every day, which is for the hopeful elect to repent. That's what the wise understand. And that the so-called white man kingdom have to fall before the Messiah's kingdom be established on earth. This is what the wise understand. Judgment from the Lord. Oh, you got this little slow-bellied nigga rolled up, killed this girl yesterday, 9 years old, down here in the Sunshine State, Orlando, pulled up, killed this girl, left, killed a couple people, left. The news people showed up. Jake came back and gunned down the news people, man, in broad daylight. Jake is bugging out, man. What your boy say? In broad daylight, rockabye, baby. Jake pulled up, gunned down some people, left. News people show up. Jake come back and gun down the news people, man. Jake is bugging out, man. It take a lot of, it take a lot of what they say in the world. Let it take a lot of balls. Jake came back and gunned down some news people, man. Killed 5 people, man. The hopeful elect understand why that happened. The Lord put the spirit on that one young Jake. He was 19. 19. Gunned down, I think, his girlfriend, a 9-year-old, and killed some of the news reporters, man. Spirit created for vengeance. And I'll put in the chat, I say, the Lord killed many birds with one stone. Now he finna catch his judgment. He got 5 bodies. He ain't finna get no life in prison. They finna see him straight to the injecting chair and see him right on bite. Jake, man. But the wise shall understand these things. So let's get back. So this is show you how cold the Lord is. Because Yahushua, for those that's in the know, you know who Isaac was. He was Yahushua. That's why he said that I will retain. He told Isaac. He told Abraham and Sarah that he will return to them in a proper time, the next year, on a certain date. That's what the Lord. When the Lord came, it say Abraham ran to him. Okay, when he saw Yahushua, and it say 2 angels that was with him, he fell, and he told him that he was going to return to Abraham at a later time, which was Isaac, man. So Isaac blessed Esau to live by the sword, man. But Isaac never told Esau, listen, son, listen, I love you, because it's tell you that Isaac loved Esau because, he was a hunter, a cunning hunter, may I add. He's a cunning hunter who lies snares and traps. See, them devils can't go out there in the woods and go hunting and just sit there and wait. No, they got to use deer pee and doe pee, or they got to get them a buck caller. Because I got one. I got a buck caller. I got a doe caller. I used to hunt too. So these devils are cunning hunters, man. They got to set traps and snares. Well, guess what? They do that to you so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. What did he say? The days of my father, Esau said, the days of my father at hand, this would I slay my brother Jacob. Well, he never killed our forefather Jacob, But he's been killing off Jacob's seed through what? Chemtrails, GMO foods, contaminated waters. Okay, pushing the agenda of the alphabet community, man. Putting estrogen in the food and water, making the women masculine and making men effeminate. You got women out here, young girls that's lifting weights, that know how to fix all type of things, man. But these men out here don't know how to do nothing but walk around in Crocs and skinny jeans. And I know firsthand there's young women out here that know how to fix things, appliances. But these men out here is walking around in skinny jeans and Crocs, man, looking through. That's what the so-called white man done. Put estrogen in the food and water, man. All these are his weapons. All this is his swords of the Edomites, man. That's what they do. So this is Ezekiel. Salaki, I don't want to get there yet. His Psalms. But this is about Isaac blessing Esau with the sword, but never telling him that he's going to die by that same sword, man. This is Psalms 37 and 14. And when you read in Daniel's 2, right? It tell you that Esau, even so-called white man, shall mingle himself with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, because these are different spirits. The 16 heathen nations have different spirits, different energy than the so-called white nation. Okay, like the Arabs, they still keep the customs because Ishmael, the father of the Arabs, is Abraham's first son. So when you see an Arab woman that happen to come to America, you first see them, they wearing dresses down to their ankles. They got their whole head covered. All you can see is their eyes. Even these Indian women, okay, these Elamite women, they covered up, man. Dresses. You don't can see their face. You only can see their eyes. Those are the customs of Israel, man. Well, Esau done destroyed that too, man. Cause these East Indian women, these Pakistani women, these Elamite women, these Arabian women come over here to America. Next time you see them, 2-3 months, they ain't got their head covered. They ain't wearing dresses. They in jeans, okay? Jeans with a shirt on, with the top of their bosom showing out, man. Because of who? Because it's so-called white man. And that's why I say in Daniel's 2, the Edomites, the so-called white nation, shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, which is the other 16 nations, but they shall not cleave one to another. And it's cold that the Lord is building up the strongest Edomite nation to destroy the Edomites. That's their own sword piercing through their heart, man. The Lord is building up Gog and Magog, okay, which is Russia today, which is they all brothers, man. And how did this devil establish their power? The Heavenly Father Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, let these devils establish their power through rape, rob, murder, pillage, and plunder. What in the beginning rulership of these Edomites was with Alexander the Greek, right? But what happened when he died? His 4 generals took over, right? They took over, and what they was doing? They was fighting amongst themselves, man. They divided the spoils of all the rape, rob, murder, pillaging, and plunder that Alexander the Great did in the known world. Him and his 4 generals, right? When you read the First Maccabees 1. So when he died, they divided the spoils amongst themselves, and they was fighting. Well, when you fast forward that at the French, chapter 7, it tell you that it was 10 horns. 3 of the horns was plucked up, and 1 little horn came up. Those 3 little horns in Daniel 7 was the French, the Spanish, and the British fighting to colonize America. But then you had these other Edomites, the little horn, which is the nation of North America, Babylon the Great, took down the French, the Spanish, and the British, okay, to colonize America. That's in the scriptures, man. It's history, but it's in the Bible first, man. These are all Edomites. The French, the Spanish, and the British, they are all Edomites. Then you had that little horn, which is your George Washingtons and your John Adams and your Quincy Adams and these slow-bellied devils that went against their own brothers. This is the history of the so-called white nation, man. They've been doing this since the Greek Empire, since the beginning of their rulership. Oh, in the Romans, Julius Caesar was killed by his own Congress, the own what they call uh um the council. His own council stabbed him up, man. Julius Caesar's own council, which were all Edomites, stabbed him up, man. And those Edomites, when you go look at all the history of all the first emperors, the first Caesars, man, they was killing each other, man, for the seat. That's Edomites doing that. So this devil history was started with them fighting amongst themselves. Guess how the history going to end? Them fighting amongst themselves. And what are they using to do it? Swords, daggers. And now it's going to be intercontinental ballistic missiles, man. So this is at Psalm 37:14. The wicked have drawn out the sword. Why the sword, Lord? Because that's their blessing, to live by the sword. And he uses policy, his laws, his legislations, his democracy, his philosophies, his draconian measures. These are all part of the sword of the so-called white man. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy. The poor and needy are so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, ye 12 tribes of Israel, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. How are they slaying those that be of upright conversation? They taking down our videos, man. YouTube, the lady said, when she's sick right now, call Allah Yahweh Shem Mama Shah. The Lord about to put her to flight. They had 10,000 people that watch these videos to monitor. And if they be against the policy of YouTube, they take them down, or they give you a strike for a week or 2 weeks, or they take down your whole page. Well, that's them. It's a and to slay such as be an upright conversation. That's what they doing. Well, guess what? Because you doing this, and the only thing coming out in these videos that the apostles, elder bishops, and elders, younger brothers do is truth, edification. And you take the videos down because you say, oh, it's uh hate speech. All the hate the so-called white man has done in the earth, and not only to the Israelites, but to the other heathen nations. And you want to tell us we giving you hate speech because we teaching the truth out the scriptures? Well, guess what? Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bow shall be broken. What the Lord said in Psalm 64, he shall make their tongue to fall upon themselves. So now you got guys like Dabu 7 and Glenn Beck. What's the brother channel? The other guy channel call for an uprising. Oh, this other guy, Apostle Hall, was saying about subscribe to the channel. His name Patrick Humphrey. I've been watching him since a couple nights ago. This Edomite going in, he going in. He going in, man. Patrick Humphrey, man. He's going in, man. So the Lord said they swore shall enter into their own heart. And one of the ways of that is them making their own tongue to fall upon themselves, man. Now you got what's this other channel with this guy and his wife? Redacted. And this is Edomites on Edomites, because this is how their kingdom was established with the Greeks, and this is how it's going to end with the Russians, man. This is their battle. This is their fight amongst themselves, man. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. Now, let me read this, because in when you go to Second Ezra, right, 11. Hey, the Lord is cold, man, because their own sword is going to destroy them, man. The same blessing that they've been living by, the same blessing is going to be their curse in the end. This is Second Ezra 11:39. It reads, "Are not thy it that remainest of the fourth beast?" The fourth beast is the Roman Empire. "Are not thy it that remainest of the fourth beast, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times, that the end of their times might come through them?" Hold on. "Are not thy it that remainest of the fourth beast?" Which is the Roman Empire, which was the fourth beast, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them. Who? The end of their times, the Edomites, is going to come through who? The Edomites. The so-called white man's time is going to come through the so-called white man. Hold on, let's get one more. In Jeremiah, hey, that's what the Lord said. Don't have to understand. The Lord is cold, man. Strategic, man, with his chess moves, man. This is Jeremiah 15:45. They say the same thing. Second Ezra 11:39 reads, man. The end of their time shall come through them, man. This is death sword entering to their own heart, man. The Lord established the Edomites to destroy the Edomites. That's cold. This is Jeremiah 15:45. It reads, "Therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh, that he have taken against Babylon, which is North America, and his proposals that he had proposed against the land of the Chaldeans." The Chaldeans was magicians. Well, that applies today to the so-called white man, which they're witching, warlock, right? They're witchery. Okay, they're witches and warlocks. There's enchantments. You're reading Isaiah 47, right? Starting at verse 10 through 14. That's what they do. It says, "Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out." Who is the least of the flock? It's the elites. Okay, the small hats, because the elites control both sides of the war, man, of anything. "Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out," which is those small hats over in the land of Israel, "through the elites. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them." See that? Surely he shall make their habitation. Who? The least of the flock. Surely he shall make their habitation, which are Edomites, desolate with them. Who is the them? Edomites. So the end of their times may come through them, man. This is the Lord playing chess with these Edomites, man. "Their sword shall enter into their own heart." Let's get this. And what's cold is, like I mentioned, the Lord say he's gonna bring another Edomite to take down the Edomite. So when you go to Ezekiel 28, I want to read this point in verse 7. The Lord cold, man. But they don't have no understanding of what's going on. They think they are prospering and they're going to live forever, man. Ezekiel 28:7. "Behold, therefore will I bring strangers upon thee." What strangers? Russia, China, Iran, Turkey. These are the forefront runners, man. You got the BRICS nations, right? BRICS meaning Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Well, Iran is going to join Russia and China, man. Then if you look at this, if you look at these scriptures, if you look at these scriptures, the Medo and Persian Empire that took down the ancient Babylonian Empire, today, the Medo and Persian Empire. Persians are the Iranians, the Medes are the Russians, man. Because the Russians, the Edomites that's in Russia, they occupying the land of the Medes, which belonged to Japhet, Noah's youngest son, Japhet. That's who that land belonged to. Salakia. Noah's second oldest, Noah's second son, Japhet, because Ham was the youngest. Shem, Ham, and Japhet. I think, yeah, I think Japhet was second. Ham was the youngest, if I ain't mistaken. So that land today that Russia is in was the Japhetic people, man. Well, today the Medes and the Russians, the Medes and Persia are Iran and Russia, man. This is facts according to the scriptures, man. So now you got Iran that's trying to join the BRICS nations because that's a part of prophecy. The Bible is full of prophecy. This ain't about ranting. This ain't about talking about how we feel, what we think. This is about prophecy of the Lord, man. The will of Yahweh Shema Shah. And the only one that understand this, as said in Daniel 12 and 10, is the wise, which are the hopeful elect of Israel. So again it say, behold, therefore will I bring strangers upon thee, which is Russia, China, Iran, and Turkey. They tell you that in Ezekiel 38. These nations is going to destroy North America, man. I will bring upon thee, and I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations. Who are the terrible of the nations? Russia and China. Right now, when you look at it, Russia, China, and Iran is the terrible of the nations, man. And they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom. See? Their own sword shall enter into their heart. Because where the sword come from? The so-called white man. See? And they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom. When you watch, I mentioned about this show, Forged in the Fire. I love to watch it because Edomites make the best weapons because that was their blessing from Isaac. And their sword, and they shall draw their sword against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. They shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. In the midst of the sea, meaning in the midst of the people. So the Lord got it set up for these devils to fall by their own sword. Now this is Revelation 13 and 9. It's cold too, man, because Isaac never told Esau that he's gonna die by the sword, man. He just told him that he's gonna live by it. But what did Yahweh Shah tell Peter, man? Matter of fact, let's get that first. What did Yahweh Shah tell Peter about that sword, man? This is Matthew 26 and 52. It reads, and this is when Peter cut the ear off this guy to come and get Yahweh Shah. Let's read it. Matthew 26 and 51. And behold, one of them which were with Yahweh Shah stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. Then said Yahweh Shah to him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword, man. Okay? This is Revelation 13 and 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Who put us in captivity? The so-called white man. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Who are the saints? So-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. And we can prove it with the scriptures. We got plenty of lessons on it. I got a lesson going heavy into breaking down who the saints are. Go look it up. So, again, Revelation 13 and 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Go read Isaiah 14, 1 and 2. Go read Jeremiah 30 and 16, and you'll find out. He that leadeth into captivity, the so-called white man, shall go into captivity. He led the captivity. He got to go in it. He that killeth with the sword, who gunned down Mike Brown? Who gunned down Trayvon Martin? Huh? Don't worry. We'll wait. What's this young boy name that had the fake gun? Tamir Rice, if I ain't mistaken. Who gunned them down? The Centurions. It said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killed with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is patience and the faith of the saints, man. So they got to pay. Yahweh said, don't live by the sword. Because if you do, you're going to die by that same sword. So, let's get this. In Revelation, there's some points I want to make for those that's new in the faith. Lord got these devils already set up for the greatest fall. Oh, now I said the other day, but I didn't quote it right. But it said on Luke, they that be lifted up shall be abased, and they that are abased shall be lifted up. And who's on the bottom? So-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, which will be back on top. If you go to Luke chapter 1, starting at verse 51 through 53, it tell you that the Lord put us down and put the heathens over us. And he's raising up his sons back to rulership. It tell you in Isaiah 1 and 26, he's going to restore the judges as at the first, which are the Israelites. We the judges of the earth, man. The earth. But the earth was given to the hand of the wicked. And he covered the face of the judges in Job 9:24. The judges are the Israelites, man. Starting with the Most High Yahweh, his only begotten son, Yahweh Shai, King David, Solomon, Moses, the Israelites. We are the judges, man. Lord willing, we'll be of the elect to return back. The Lord has established his judges in the earth, man. And that's why they hate him. They rebuke him from the gate. 2/3 of Jake. These Edomites hate it. That's why I tell you in Jeremiah 50 and 43, the king of Babylon have heard the report of them. The report is that they finna go into slavery. That they North America finna be destroyed. And every other kingdom where the so-called man rule at. Britain, France, Sweden, England, Australia, they finna fall, man. This is Revelation 13 and 1. And I stood upon the center of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. This beast is the Edomite system, the 7-head beast, NATO, the 10 horns of the EU nations. Okay? With America. This 7-head, 10-horn beast is an Edomite system. And upon his horns, 10 crowns, and upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. We can get that by them blaspheming the Lord. That's also in Ezekiel 35. It's also in Psalms 72. And right here in Revelation, it say, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. What's this leopard? It's the Greek Empire, man. You can go read that in Daniel's 8. It tell you that about Alexander the Great, man. This leopard, okay? This he goat represents the he goat. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. So here's the Lord's telling you from the beginning rulership of the so-called white man with the leopard, which is the Greek Empire, all the way to the bear, which is the Russian Empire right now, the Edomite Russians, the beginning and end of them. In his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And that seat, this seat is the power that the dragon gave him, his power and his seat was the Romans, man. And because that's why you go back to when they say he had 2 horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon, the 2 horns represent the Flavian and Patricians, which today is they call the Democrats and Republicans that have a Congress, a Senate House, and a president that rule 4 years, or he get a term for 8 years. When the Roman Empire, they rule one man ruled a year. You can read it in First Maccabees chapter 8. This is that seat and power and great authority, which came from the Roman Empire, North America, the revised Roman Empire. Okay. This is North America, Babylon the Great, established, revived in 1776, man. So it said that the head was, they say, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. The leopard represented the Greeks, the rulership of the so-called white man, and the bear is the destruction of the so-called white man. That's the end of them. The feet. That's the end of them, man. And where we at right now, we in the feet. Let's get this. In Daniel's 2. You see the Lord got, and the Lord is strengthening up. The Lord is strengthening up the strongest of these Edomites, which are the Russians, man. Ain't no other Edomites on the planet Earth like them Russians, man. And that's why the allies are going to join to them. So this Daniel 2 and 43, reading the point. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, as a matter of fact, let me show you, because I read 2 Ezra 11:39 and say, are not thy it that remaineth of the fourth beast, of the four beasts, who are made to reign in my world? Well, this is Daniel telling the king about this vision, right? Of these of the beasts, right? So he said, he told him in verse 38 that you are this head of gold, which is the first beast, which is the Babylonian Empire. Right here, 39, it say, After thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee. That's the Medo and Persian Empire, which today is the Iranian and the Russians. And another third kingdom of brass, which was the Greeks, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdue of all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. So here it is, Daniel telling Nebuchadnezzar about these four beasts. So verse 43 said, whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. The Edomites is going to mingle themselves with the 16 heathen nations and join together, and they're going to become allies. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with miry clay. So the Lord is showing us now through prophecy that these nations are separating from the Edomites. And what's cold is they're separating from the North American Edomites and joining the Russian Edomites. Because Turkey Edomites too. Okay? This is a 7-head, 10-horn Edomite beast system, man. It's controlled by the so-called white man. This Isaiah 19 and 2, it reads, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. This is Edomites against Edomites. The Russian Edomites against the American Edomites. And they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. See? This is where we at right now, man. Couple points I want to hit. This is Luke. Luke 11 and 17. And it reads, but he knowing their thoughts said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. You got the Democrats and the Republicans, right? They ain't on the same page, man. They ain't on the same page, man. These devils has been warring against themselves from the Greek Empire to now. Edomite on Edomite policy, man. If Satan also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? See? How their kingdom going to stand when they fight against themselves, man? It said, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. This is Mark. And the Lord showed us, and when you read in Matthew 22, Yahushua said, when they asked him, should they pay tribute to Caesar? Yahushua said, show me the money. Whose face and image is this on the money? They said Caesar's. The Lord said, render to Caesar what is Caesar. Who faces on the money right now? The same people. The Caesars, man. Okay? George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, which wasn't even the damn president, man. Who faced on the money, man? John Adams, Quincy Adams. Okay? Uh the Indian killer, Andrew Jackson. Okay? The same people face on the money, man, that it was in the Roman Empire. That face was on the money in the Greek Empire, man. Same people. Jake talking about the Edomites is Japhet. You slow bellied niggas. This is Mark 3 and 23. He called them unto him and said unto them in parables, how can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, right, the Democrats and the Republicans, NATO and the EU, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. See? So here it is. These nations, these Edomites, been fighting amongst themselves, man. And the Lord said he's going to use them to destroy them, man. Yeah, so I just want to make some points on that. Hey, oh, listen. This movie called Geostorm. right? In this movie Geostorm, if you ain't never seen it, please go and watch it. They have this heart machine and they use it to create hurricanes, tornadoes, storms, and earthquakes, man. Go watch the movie. I advise you to go watch the movie, man. Geostorm. It's a good movie, man. I love to watch it, man. Cause they show you how they got the World Wide Web all connected over the earth for all their satellites. But they got the heart, man. Go watch the movie. They use the harp to cause hurricanes, tornadoes, storms, and earthquakes, man. They show us in these movies, man. The movie's called Geostorm. I think the guy Russell Crowe. I think it is. I think it's Russell Crowe. No, what's the other guy name that playing uh what's this movie when he was following the lady to work, her and her son? It's a newer movie. Um he played in a lot of movies. I think he played in this guy got a lot of movies, man. The movie called Geostorm though. He a good actor. I forgot his name. Oh, what's this movie? Um, I'm thinking about a lot of movies right now. I can't think of the name of them though. I like watching this guy, man. But the movie called Geostorm. It show you in the movie how they got this heart machine, man. And they do these things because that's another one of their swords, man. Esau's policy, his legislations, his democracy, his philosophy, the draconian measures, right? Draconian go back to Draco, the Athenian law guild in the Greek Empire, man. So one of their greatest swords outside of the real sword, because Esau got the weapons, man. He got all type of weapons. They got these ray guns. Okay, they got these. Uh, they show what's this movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger when they was able to take the guns and see people inside their houses and hit you, and give you a heart attack. And Esau got all these type of things. So Jake running around here thinking because they got some AR-15s and grenade launchers and rocket launchers and all and stingers. Man, Esau got advanced weapon, man. Advanced weapon. And they showed you in the movie, what's this movie is the Purge movie, when the one Jake was finna go into the building to save the girl and her brother, and Esau sent the drones and killed the Jake, but the one Jake got up under the truck. Esau got drones, man. But Jake got handing down guns out here. Oh, and these Jakes watching on the news. I did a lesson on the wild about a year or two, maybe a year ago. It wasn't that far ago. Jake with these switches, these Glock switches, man. Turning these turning these guns to automatic weapons, man. Full automatic, man. And man, so they showing in the news that Jake making 3D printer guns. 3D printer guns that really shoot. And they putting a switch on them. Hold on. Where they get a 3D printer from? Esau eating the so-called white man. Who created it? And they talking about in the news. They don't know where these Glock switches come from. Because I did a lesson on it. And Glock said, because the word Glock is on the switch. Glock said they don't make those switches. So where they getting them from? They getting them from Esau, man. Jake ain't making this, man. Jake probably got a 3D printer to make guns. Where the 3D printer come from? The so-called white man. Just like you got people running around here putting these scammers in the stores, in the Walmarts, at the gas stations, at the gas pumps. Who, listen, I went on, man, you can go buy these scanners. You can legally go and buy these scanners. Where the scanners come from? Because Jake don't own no warehouse where this stuff get made at. And if Jake own a warehouse, where does the materials come from? The so-called white man. Because Jake don't own no freights them at the ports. Jake don't own none of those cargo ships. So the so-called white man, as the brother Nahoya always say in the camp, the head brother always say, the so-called white man in turned the world to a wilderness, man. This devil, and not everybody got guns, man. Everybody got to have a weapon because of the so-called white man. Everybody need weapons, man, because of the devil who's in rulership, man.
They want to push, and that's why we keep telling you, man. They control the media, man, so they can tell you, oh, it's these Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians out here that doing all the killing. No, according to the so-called white man's statistics, in every state, 60% of the crime, 60% of all crime, whatever crime you can think of, killing, robbing, raping, any crime, 60% is done by so-called white people. And the numbers, who's on Section 8 and HUD and Social Security disability and all that, is 60% of so-called white people, man. But they control the media. So they saying, oh, it's these guys, these niggas, spooks, porch monkeys, wetbacks, and savages with these Glock switches, with these 3D printer guns. Well, where did that come from? The so-called white man. As we all know the stories, how they pull up in trucks full of guns in California, in St. Louis, in Chicago, and just leave the trucks with no lock on them because the so-called white man is the sword of the Lord, man. They are the wicked of the earth. But the beautiful thing is, the same way they came in power with the Greeks, it's the same way they're going to end, man. They're going to fight amongst themselves and destroy each other, man. He that liveth by the sword shall die by the sword. So, Lord, with us edifying, got to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rekah Kodash, double honors to the apostles and elder bishops and elders of great millstone who well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all Israel, whether you can accept it or not. And a sincere salutation to all the Akim pushing this truth and believing this truth to the four winds of the earth, the entire world, working on the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Agwath who are listening and learning. If you sisters who are listening and learning, who are for tuning in. May Yahweh Shema shall continue to bless you in your houses. Stay prayed up. And again, Isaac never told Esau that he was going to die by the same sword that he blessed him with. He never told him. He never told Esau, the so-called white man, that same weapon, the same weapons, and swore, oh, I got to get this, I'm going to close this precept. Isaac, his father, never told him that he was going to die by that same sword that he's raped, robbing, murder, pillaging, and plundering the earth with, man. He's going to die by that same sword, right? Revelation 13 and 10. He that lives in captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with a sword must be killed with the sword. Now, right here in Job 20, it say in verse 22, it reads, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. In the fullness of his sufficiency, when they think they're about to bring that new world order to play, that everything is all in place, everything is set, the standard for the new world order is all set. It say he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When you look at this word wicked, it means all the laborers, man. Verse 23 reads, when he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. Rain what on him? He shall flee from the iron weapon, because they're gonna go into them caves. They're gonna go into their bunkers. They're gonna go into the space station. They're gonna go into their mountain retreats. They're gonna take their sub yachts, them $1 billion sub yachts, and go into the bottom of the ocean, or try to get hide in the ocean. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It says it's gonna rain upon them, right? This verse 25. It is drawn, what? The missile, it is drawn and cometh out of the body. Where the missiles sit at? In silos. Okay? That's called the body for the missile, the silo. It is drawn and cometh out of the body. I started with Isaiah 54 and 16. Who created the missiles? The so-called white man, the German scientist, right? It is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yeah, the glittering sword. What this is? The missiles. The so-called white man created the missile, so the Lord said he's going to die by the same missile. Isaac blessed Esau to live by the sword, but he never told him you're going to die by the same sword. It is drawn and cometh out of the body. Yeah, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall, terrors are upon him. See, all darkness shall be hid in his secret places, a fire not blown. What's this is? Those intercontinental ballistic missiles. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. Ill meaning a bad time. Ill, evil, sick, horrific judgment. The wife for tuning in. May Yahweh Shema shall continue to bless you in your houses. Stay prayed up. Wah Abab Ball. The so-called white man blessing was to live by the sword, where he's going to die by the same sword. Thus saith the Lord. Shalom.